So I've been watching The Crown, and I didn't really want to watch it, quite frankly, because not interested. I'm just not interested. Particularly not interested in the more recent locals. But I'm a big fan of Korean dramas, except for some reason Netflix has just dropped, like, I don't know, hundreds, it seems to me, of 10-year-old dramas that are really made for 14 plus. I am definitely 14 plus, but not interested in 14-year-old issues. And they're not of the quality of, Crash Landing on You or Spiritual Alchemy of the Souls or, Live Up to Your Name, which are really, really great series. So I've been watching The Crown. Well, you know what? This is a lot about Diana, who was really an icon and a very depressed icon, as it happens. And I think all of us who were living at that time knew that. And it was really a poor little rich girl thing. It's not that I don't have sympathy for her. I do have sympathy for her to be isolated in what seems to be a very suffocating environment of extremely rigid people, which, by the way, the English are famous for. And she was English. It should not have been a surprise to her that they weren't, cheerful, outgoing people. They're not Australians, okay? They're English. Um, and so I do feel for her, and I also think it's probably good for people who are depressed or suicidal to be watching something like this. Or maybe it's the opposite of that. I don't really know. The thing I kind of do know, I'm not a therapist, but I've had a lot of therapy. Depression is really rage. You're really, really pissed off when you're depressed and frustrated. I don't know. I had to work through my own depression, and I wasn't married to a prince who didn't love me. Um, I didn't have those problems, but I certainly had problems of not being loved. Everybody, unfortunately, seems to have those problems of not being loved or not being loved sufficiently by those who are supposed to love them, you know, or loved by somebody you love who doesn't love you back. Um, you really have to have develop, and I don't know. I mean, a child doesn't really develop. The child isn't rejected and goes like, "Oh yeah, I really can get over that." You have to develop these tools of resilience to go on when you're rejected, because most of life is about being rejected. That's really the truth. When you get to a certain age, up until a certain age, everything is yes, 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 and you get to a certain age, like two, it's no. No, don't touch the stove. No, you can't cross the street by yourself. No, you can't ride a bicycle. Rejection is what happens to us in life at a very early age. I know I made a big leap from Diana to that. It is frustrating in a certain way to watch The Crown, because you know what's going to happen. She's going to die in a very bad car accident with a guy who is very questionable to begin with, why she was with him. So it's hard for me to watch it. Uh, and so I'm not watching it, by the way. I just decided last night, the last season, I said, I know what's going to happen. I don't need to watch that. There are some new things coming that look really, really good. The new Martin Scorsese movie looks really interesting, and I think you can see that on, if I'm right, Prime Amazon, which I also have, but I can't figure out how to work. It's like too complicated. Netflix is very easy. You press a button, blah, blah, everything shows up. But Amazon Prime and also the Discovery Channel, there's too many buttons I have to press. I just go, I don't care. I just don't care. I'll just watch it on my iPad, which is easy. Press a button. Anyway, it's the holiday season, which is difficult for many people. I wouldn't say it's that easy for me. I live alone. I'm single. I'm old, but I'm alive. So the first thing of you watching this is you're alive. Welcome. Stay that way for as long as you can, unless it's terribly horrible for you, in which case do see a therapist, a good one, someone who understands that these are seasonal issues. And if they're not seasonal for you, then you definitely need to see a therapist, and maybe even some medication. I'm not a big lover of medication, although I was on it for 30 years, because it tends to damp down what the problem is instead of helping you solve what the problem is, assuming it's solvable. Some things are just depressing, and depression is our normal reaction. Anyway, wherever you are, if you're watching this, I love you.